Weeks after the murder of John Shelkins, investigators continued to look into the lead they received from the Breezewood murders, a registration number belonging to Edward Surratt.
Come down the valley with me. Come down where darkness came to be. Come down, the story still told. The night the shotgun slayer took hold. Come down the valley with me. No stranger thing has happened, you see. Come down, so brazen and bold. The night the shotgun slayer took hold.
Investigators from the task force get help from psychologist Dr. Alan Pass, who uses criminal profiling to create a picture of the suspected killer. He sends investigator Frank Keenan detailed notes as to the characteristics of who the killer might be. The suspect is symbolically killing his father and mother. He gains sexual satisfaction out of assaulting and raping women and is in excellent health. His paranoid, delusional system makes him think he is omnipotent and that he is godlike. He probably has combat experience. He is probably experienced with stalking and is familiar with firearms. His occupation could allow him to be mobile. 1 month after John Shelkins' murder, investigators Frank Keenan and Michael Tokarczyk interview Edward Arthur Surratt. When asked about why his car was in Breezewood on New Year's Eve, Surratt insists that he was in Aliquippa. He shows very little emotion, even after almost being accused of the murders of the Mills and Druger. Beaver County Detective Townsend Tank Smith continues to talk with Surratt's wife, Afia. She says that she sent her 14-year-old daughter, Surratt's stepdaughter, back to North Carolina because of unwanted sexual advances from Surratt. Afia also suspects that Surratt is up to no good. On March 27, 1978, Surratt has another run-in with police when he gets a traffic ticket in Boardman, Ohio.
He was in the commercial district on 224. There's a long plaza there called the Boardman Plaza. And at some point, Officer Harry Husk, who was an officer with the department at the time, was traveling on 224, and Mr. Surratt turned in front of him onto a side street, which generally would have been leading him towards the general area where the crime occurred. And he was stopped by Officer Husk and issued that citation.
The following day, March 28th, 70-year-old Catherine Filicki is found dead in her Boardman home.
What we believe Surratt did, and part of this was based on, we used police bloodhounds from Pymatuming Township. The handler that came over didn't really know anything about other than we wanted a track run. We believe that Mr. Surratt parked the vehicle in the back of a church parking lot on Glenwood Avenue, which is a road that runs directly parallel to Hitchcock Road where the crime occurred. And what the bloodhounds told us is he traveled in a northerly direction between the backyards of Glenwood Avenue and Hitchcock Road, got down to the end of Hitchcock, which is a commercial development, turned around and started working his way up. And according to the dogs, he went around more than one home. Our belief is he was looking for a target, somebody to kill. He eventually burglarized a home across the street in Caddy Corner to Mrs. Filicki's residence. And the dog made that track, not knowing that a crime had occurred there. And then it ultimately came across the street and the home next door had been burglarized, and the dog tracked that and then to Mrs. Filicki's home. So we were pretty confident, based on the track done by the dog without having prior knowledge, that it was a pretty accurate representation of probably what Mr. Surratt did the night he killed Mrs. Filicki.
The morning after Catherine Filicki's murder, a neighbor stopped over to see her, only to find the glass broken out of the back door. Entering her home, Filicki's neighbor finds her in the bathroom with multiple abrasions to her head and her face. It appeared that Catherine had been beaten to death.
Quite frankly, I mean, the day we started investigating this, the first thing you'd look at in a murder is motive. You know, why was somebody killed? And We believe that Mrs. Flicky was working in her basement doing sewing. So the lights were on in the basement, and if you did any walking around the house and looked in, you knew it wasn't vacant. If I were to speculate and give you an answer as to why, he had been out of the car for a period of time. He traveled a distance and was, by the luck of the draw, was unable to find a couple at home. I mean, the homes that he went around were all vacant. And as I said, he actually entered 2 of them, stole some items, but ultimately he hadn't found it. Now, was it part of his plan that he had to have a couple? I don't know. He may have thought he'd been out there long enough and he saw her and she became the victim.
The forensic team is brought in to vacuum the crime scene where they find hairs consistent with an African American.
After a short time, within a week or so or 2 weeks of that death, we were notified by a task force of Pennsylvania State Police, Allegheny County, and Pittsburgh City police officers. It was about a 200-man task force that was working, what turned out to be working Edward Surratt, who they had identified, who believed to be a serial killer. And as it turned out, he was issued a traffic citation in our jurisdiction the night of the crime for failure to yield to a vehicle, about within a 2-hour window and within a mile of where the murder occurred. So that was our first introduction into his name, and we subsequently investigated.
On April 18th, Surratt is picked up by the Bourbon police on a bench warrant for his traffic violation. He is questioned about 3 burglaries and Felicki's murder.
Now, we could not extradite him on a simple bench warrant for failure to appear on a traffic ticket, but he ultimately came into this area on another date of court, and he was spotted by one of our officers, Officer Rupp, who actually was an investigator with me on the case, was pulled over and brought into the police station for questioning regarding the homicide. There would be times where he wouldn't deny stuff, but he wouldn't admit it. He just played games with you, and I think he derived pleasures from playing games with the police.
After he is released from Bourbon police custody, Surratt slips away from surveillance teams, disappearing for almost 2 months. On June 1st, 66-year-old Luther Langford is murdered, and his wife, 58-year-old Nell, is severely beaten and sexually assaulted in their South Carolina home. Days later, Surratt's wife, Afia, notifies police that her husband is in possession of a car with South Carolina plates. The state police surveillance team is notified and locates the vehicle in Aliquippa. They begin to set up their plan to arrest Surratt.
The car was in the, I believe it was J&L in Aliquippa, the steel mill. So we had a van parked next to it, and we had several other cars right around the Aliquippa steel mill area, waiting for him to go back to the vehicle, and we were going to officiate an arrest. I don't know if it was someone on our detail or someone disabled the car so it wouldn't be able to start. I want to say Mike Russo and Bob Martin were in a surveillance van, probably right next to the vehicle. And then when Mr. Surratt went to the vehicle, they approached him at gunpoint. And somehow or other he eluded them. And there were some shots fired. And me and my partner, which was Joe Rosum, saw him running through some, I guess they were row houses down there next to the mill. I started giving pursuit on foot, and I chased him through the mill while guys were working, and he ran out of the mill towards the river. He went down over probably a 60-foot embankment and kind of disappeared into the darkness.
And despite law enforcement's best efforts, Surratt remains unfound. He is officially labeled as on the run. Join us on the next episode of Notorious when Beaver County and the surrounding areas are given a reprieve from the brutal killings that have taken place over the last 6 months, and many are forced to wonder about the decade in which they are living.